Not ideal. Hi everybody, I hope you're well. In today's video I'm going to be answering questions which have been sent in to me on my Instagram, but all the questions were sent in to me today whilst I'm out walking. So I don't know what the questions are going to be, but we'll soon find out. So let's crack on. It seems wherever I go at the moment I'm followed by cows. Loads and loads of cows. First thing, before we actually get into the video proper, is I need to apologise for the state of my hair. It looks absolutely awful. This is full-on lockdown hair now. It's going to be another 3 weeks or so as well, I think, until barbers open, so I'm very, very tempted now just to cut it all off because it's doing my head in. So let me know in the comments if you think I should just give in and shave it all off. So just while that camera there is doing a time lapse, which you'll see on the screen in a minute, that camera, by the way, is the DJI Osmo action camera, and I've only just bought it, but I absolutely love it. I think it's really cool. So just while it's doing its time lapse, I'm going to answer some some funny questions which have been sent in to me by my friend Nick. So I'm just going to answer these quite quickly. You can only shoot on film or slow zooms. Which do you choose? That's a tougher one. I think actually, no, it's not tough at all. I'm going to choose the zooms. I just could never shoot a wedding on film. I have so much respect for those photographers that can or have, but yeah, it's not for me. The style that I shoot in, needing to capture moments, there's no way I could do that on film. So definitely slow zooms, just whack the ISO up. Okay, Nick also says, your Sony A9 burst into flames at a wedding. How do you pass it off as being okay? That's a tougher one. I think I'd have to say something really cheesy like, you look so hot in your photographs that my camera has literally burst into flames, but don't worry, I rescued the memory card before it ignited. Something like that. Cheesy. Okay, this is the Nick Bryant segment. Have you ever walked away from a wedding worrying about what the shots look like? Yeah, that's not quite as funny, and I have done a few times, yeah. One in particular where I used, unbeknownst to me, oh, it's horrible. I used a counterfeit memory card by accident. I left worrying that I'd lost literally half the pictures. Luckily, even though the card was counterfeit, I could get the photographs off it. But that was a horrible day, and that was awful driving back, worrying that I literally wouldn't have half the wedding. And last one for now from Nick, $10 million, but you never take another photograph ever. Do you take the money? Can I do video? Do you know what? I don't think I would take the money. Seriously, I don't think I would. Which makes me feel like a right loser. And the next question is, have you any tips on composition? That's a really good question, but it's a massive question, and it's one that's going to be very hard for me to answer in a short Q&A video like this. What I would say firstly is, if you haven't done so already, then please have a look at this video on my channel, because I talk about composition more in that video, and if you haven't seen it, I think you might find that quite useful. But in terms of giving you an answer in this video, my quick answer would be to crop better. When I'm critiquing other photographers' work, the thing that comes up the most, in my eyes anyway, is that images aren't cropped very well, and by that I mean that there's lots of either negative space around a photograph which isn't needed. Sometimes negative space is good, and we can use negative space to add impact and drama to a photograph, but oftentimes it isn't. That's one reason. Or there's distracting elements around the edges of the frame. Again, if that's the case, photographs can be really improved by a better crop. So that'll be my answer for you right now, just to look at your own photographs and ask yourself the one question: can this photograph be improved if I were to crop in better on this photograph? And oftentimes you'll probably find that it can. So there you go, crop better. Okay, next question, something off topic, but fitness tips for shooting weddings, especially after quarantine. That isn't off topic at all. I think that's a very relevant question and a very important question as well, because over the past 2 or 3 months, I know that I've put on weight. I mean, look at the state of me, but also I'm not as fit as I was before quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. I would go to the gym 2-3 times a week, and I loved it as well. I used to really enjoy going to the gym and will enjoy going to the gym again when they reopen. But in the meantime, I've definitely put on weight, and I say my general fitness has definitely suffered. So what I'm trying to do now is just get out there and just do lots of long walks, which is one of the reasons that I'm here today. I mean, I'm about to attempt to walk up that thing, which is going to prove to you just how unfit I am, I'm sure. But I do think it's really important that we try and stay on top of our health, because our physical health also directly correlates to our mental health as well. And right now that is just as important, if not more important, than our physical health, because when all these things have been taken away from us, I know that I have struggled definitely mental health wise because of all the restrictions that we've been put under. So I do think it's really important that you try and get out as much as you can, try and go for long walks, get your 10,000 steps a day in. So yeah, get out there, long walks until the gym's back open, then I'll start hitting the weights again. That is exactly why that was a good question to be asked, because I am not fit thanks to lockdown. You'll see how high up I am here. So I've done a fair bit, over halfway, but I am panting like a dog. This is why it's important to get your steps up, get fit again, so when the weddings do start again, we can take them. Because for me, a wedding day can be like 12 hours, 13, 14 hours sometimes, and I want it that way. I want to stay at that long at a wedding so I can cover everything. But you do have to be fairly fit. I would say on average I'm doing about 20,000 steps at a wedding, and at the moment, if I was to attempt that, this gives you a clue as to what it'd be like. So yeah, get fitter. Made it to the top. I'm not going to go on about it, but yeah, I need to be fitter. But having said that, the views up here are amazing. So it's well worth the pain and the sweat to get up here, because it does look absolutely incredible. But now that I think anyway, I've caught my breath back, I'm going to do another question. And this one is, what is your favourite MagMod modifier? So if anybody who watches my channel will know that I love using MagMod modifiers. I have done for years now, and I'm really proud to represent them as an ambassador. It's very difficult to choose just one, because all their modifiers, whether it be grids, snoots, gels, the MagBox, the sphere, they all have their own uses, and in the right time and place can all make a massive difference to images and really improve them. But if I have to choose one, I'm going to base it on the one that I use the most, and that would be the MagGrid. The grid is amazing. The first thing that I love about it is it's so small. I don't have any on me at the moment, but they're absolutely tiny, and you can have a few in your bag without even knowing that they're even there, because they're tiny and they're light. But they make a huge difference to limiting and controlling the spread of the light. And as I talk about in this video, controlling the light is absolutely essential for good off-camera flash portraits. So if you haven't already seen it, I would massively recommend that you go and watch this video, because that tells you exactly why I love MagMod modifiers, in particular the grid. And you'll see in that video just what impact the grid has compared to when we use no modifier on our speed lights. So yeah, the grid would definitely be my favorite modifier, purely on the basis that that is the one that I use the most. Okay, so the next question is, what is the best way to attract more expensive brides? We'll rephrase the question, I think. What's the best way to attract your ideal brides? I, again, believe that I've made a whole video on this subject, which I'll link to up here. So that video up there should give you many more of my tips and pieces of advice. But the biggest one that I can give you is quite simply to only show the images which you want to be booked for. Far, far too often I see wedding photographers basically showing every single image from a wedding day, or every every different type of image, but they don't want to be taking those images. So for example, if you don't want to take lots of detailed photographs on a wedding day, don't show detailed wedding photographs on your website. And by doing that, and by only showing the images that you want to be booked for, that is the surefire best way to start attracting the brides who want the style of photography that you do like. So for example, I only show one of two types of image on my website. Either it's a moment, a natural moment, or a creative portrait. And I only show one of those two types of images. And what that means is that the brides that now book me want documentary photographs of moments, but also nice portraits as well. And I find that when I work with couples like that, that's when I produce my best work. So that would be my advice. Go through your portfolio and your Instagram, basically whatever it is that you're showing online, and make sure that there are no images in there that you don't want to retake, because there's no point in having a really beautiful shot of maybe the bride's shoes on your website if you don't want to take photographs of bride shoes. So do that. Be really strict with what you show and only show the images that you want to take in the future. So the next question is, what is your biggest tip for improving portrait photography? So that's a brilliant question, because even if you shoot weddings like I do, which is primarily in a documentary fashion, you still need to know, I think, as a wedding photographer, how to take good portraits of bride and grooms. And my number one tip, I mean, this is a huge subject that I could make a whole video on, but my number one tip, without any doubt, would be to arrange your own style shoots. And when you do that, what the brilliant thing is, you'll find that you can shoot with absolutely no pressure. And when you shoot with no pressure, if you're anything like me, that's when you're going to come up with your best work. So what I did a few years ago, I got in contact with a few models, two of which in particular I'm still really good friends with now, Beth and Demi. And if you watch my channel, you'll be familiar with Beth and Demi because I feature them in shoots. But I met up with Beth and Demi originally through model directory websites, and I basically put out on those websites what is called a casting call. So I basically signed up to the website, put a message out saying, "Hi, I'm Neil, I'm a wedding photographer, I'd like to do a shoot at this place on this date, would you be interested in working with me?" And then models who are listed on that website then see that message and then can get in contact with you directly through the website to say whether they are interested in working with you. And I say that's how I met both Beth and Demi, and also I believe James, who again has featured in lots of my videos on the channel. So I met Beth, Demi and James. They're the three models that I work with regularly on model directory website. So that would be my advice. Doing shoots like that is the best way to improve because you're shooting with no pressure. On a wedding day, obviously it's a very pressurized situation and it is not the time or the place to be trying out new things. So you want to be able to go into that wedding day with a head full of ideas for portraits, but those ideas originate on style shoots. So that would be my advice. The number one piece of advice that I can give to anyone if you want to improve your portrait photography is to get into contact with models and arrange your own style shoots. And with that, nice as it is up here, because it is stunning, the views are absolutely incredible. Nice as it is, I think it's time that I started to make my way back down because it's starting to get a little bit dark, and this is not the sort of place that you want to be stuck in the pitch black. So let's make our way back down. Tell you what, it is so much easier and nicer walking down than it is walking up. Just been admiring that view again. That used to be a waterfall apparently. Can you imagine how amazing that would have been? But yeah, just admiring the view after I've walked down, and pretty random. That is on the floor. There is no way that would have been there a few months ago. That would have been worth its weight in gold. Now in the video that I made recently where I met up with my friend Beth and we did a shoot at a waterfall, that was in an area with lots of cows that I walked past, and they were very friendly cows. I've got a similar incident here, but these don't look as friendly for some reason. That one there seems to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. It was also funny that since I made that video, quite a few people have said to me, "Do you know how many people get killed by cows every year?" Which is nice. So I'm now approaching with caution. You all right, mate? Hey up. Do I walk through the middle or do I play it safe? Let's go round. Yeah, he's one that's not, ooh, not ideal. I'm walking a little bit quicker. Has he gone? Whoa. So the last question which I'm going to talk about, which is, what are your tips for posing couples? That is a question which is a brilliant question, but it's a question that really needs a whole dedicated video about it. Now, when it comes to posing couples, my actual posing is relatively minimal, but what I do a lot of is interacting with my couples to bring moments out of them. And it's through bringing moments out of them that photographs just get so much more emotional impact. Because posing is one thing, but it can look quite stale and a bit dull. Even if you pose really well, you need the couple to be giving you some sort of emotion or some sort of moment, some sort of interaction between the two to spark life into that photograph. And that is what I'd love to do a video about in the future, and I will do. So I hope that is enough for now, but please watch this space for the future because I will answer that question in much more detail in a whole video. So a massive thank you to everyone who very kindly sent me in questions for this Q&A. I really appreciate it. As always, if you have any questions at all about anything that I've talked about in this video, then please let me know in the comments. And if you have enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this in the future. So thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you next time.